Hi everybody, this is Brian from Provision Studios, and today I'm going to do an updated studio showcase just to show some of my equipment that I have. This is not terribly different than what I showed a couple years ago. I haven't really added any more gear or changed out any gear that I had other than the Soundcraft Signature series console. But I do want to just show anyone that may not have seen some of the stuff that I've had in the past how I use this in my present situation. So while this is an update to my previous studio showcase, this really isn't. If you've seen previous ones, there's really nothing new here to show other than the signature console. So if you're familiar with those, this may not interest you. If you are interested in seeing the Soundcraft Signature Series console, then stay tuned. I'm about to dive right in. Here we go. Okay, here is the Soundcraft Signature Series console. It is an analog desk that uses USB to connect to your computer to give you a hybrid mixing environment. So you can record analog signals into the board and then route them into your DAW again via USB. This is the 22 channel multi-track, and basically how it works is you have XLR and TRS inputs on all channels. You have a gain, a high pass filter, a limiter on the first 8 channels. You have the Sapphire asymmetric EQ. You have your auxiliary routing, and then your effects routing. This comes with Lexicon effects built in. You've got your pan, your peak level right here, so you can see if you're pushing your gain too hard into your channel. This is your channel mute button right here. This is your PFL, or your pre-fader listen. This is your routing here. This sends your signal either out to your master or to one of your two group. So you got group 1 and 2, and then group 3 and 4. And then your groups can be sent either via mono to the master or stereo to your master. Then your channel 2122 is basically your out to the board. So your USB return is what sends your signal from your DAW back into the board, and that's where 2122, you have to have it enabled, sent out to the master in order for the tracks that are in the DAW to be returned. If you record something on, let's say, channel 1, it goes into the board, into your DAW, and you record it, and then you want to mix back onto the console, then you enable the USB return. So you, just because you record something on channel 1 doesn't mean it has to be mixed on channel 1. You could record something on channel 9 and mix it on, send it back onto the board on channel 1 inside your DAW. Alright, so this is a really nice desk. It has greatly improved the quality of my mixes since I got it. I take this on several live studio sessions where bands have hired me to go record them live. I've even done a live show with it where I've actually I use this to hook a whole band into it and then push it out to a PA system for their live event. So it's a very for me, it's a very unique way to work, because I've always been sort of in the box. Not sort of, I've always been in the box. And this allows me to work in the analog realm, which I've, since I started, I always started in the box. So that's completely new for me. You'll notice here on these first 8 tracks, I have XLR cables in there. What I have there is they're running through this device right here, which is the Pro Connect's Little Bro Subsnake, and this has 8 XLR inputs. So you got 4 on one side and then 4 on the other, and then that runs again through my first 8 channels. So and I'll show this week coming up. I'll have a drummer come into the studio, and I'm gonna run him. I'll mic him up and run him through the snake. I'll drag the snake out here to the center of my studio floor, and then I'll move all this stuff out. I'll set him up over here, and then the snake will be right here, and as I mic up the kit, the snake will be I'll be feeding all the mics into the snake, which then again runs into the board. So that's how I use the Soundcraft Signature 22 multi-track. Next, I've got the Furman M8X2. That is my power conditioner. That works great. It's not very expensive. I like it because it has an outlet on the front here, so any devices that someone in the studio may come in with, I don't have to go around back to route them in. I have one right here that I can use. Right below it is my PowerPlay Pro XL headphone amp, which is I bought this used on eBay. So I mean, you can see it's got some things on it that don't work properly, and that's fine. I get what I need out of it. The way that I use it is my auxiliary 1 and 2 on the Soundcraft board that sends go into the amp, the headphone amp, and then I route, when someone's in, I can route the signal from the board here. This is auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2 outputs. I can send how much of the signal I want to my headphone amp, and then I can also not send what I don't want, so I can create custom mixes to the guys that are here in the studio wanting the headphone mix. So that's kind of cool, and that's how I use it. Below it is my Aphex Project Channel strip. This is very nice. I normally run vocals through this. If I get a singer that comes in, I normally will run them through this. And I used to run my bass through it when I didn't have the Signature, before I got the Signature console. But since I got the Signature console, I just run my basses directly in to one of the high Z inputs on the board, and it just sounds great. So I really haven't had to use the effects as much as I used to. In fact, I may eventually sell this, but it really is a nice channel strip, especially for vocals. It does a great job on vocals. Below it is my old interface. This is the Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40. This is a 8-channel digital interface with 2 XLRs and instrument inputs on the front and then 6 on the back. It is only in the rack at this point as a backup in case the Soundcraft, something should happen to the Soundcraft. Not that anything ever has, but if something does, it's nice to have this as a backup. And you'll see over here, I've got the Digimax D8. So this is what I used to run my drums into, and then via light pipe I'd go into the Sapphire Pro 40. So again, if the Soundcraft would go down, I've got 16 digital ends that I could quickly put together. All right. Next we have the 11 rack. This goes, I can run this out into the Snake as well as the Aphex Project Channel. So they both can go into the Snake, or I can run the 11 rack via USB cable directly into my computer. This is a really good emulator. I've done complete albums where guitar players have come in and done all their recording on this. I haven't used this as much lately since I got the Soundcraft. Most people coming in with amps down, they're bringing their entire rig to run into this because it sounds so great. I mean, it really is an awesome console. I also have a Raven MTi. This is what I mix on. I normally will have in Pro Tools, I'll have my edit window up on the iMac, and then I have my mix window here on the Raven, and then I'll do my touch mixing on there. Nanopatch Plus. This is what the output of the Soundcraft goes into, and then the output out of the Nanopatch goes into my JBL 308s studio monitors. So this is a passive volume control, so I can control the output to my monitors or mute them. This is a mute button, so I can mute it completely or just turn it down without affecting the output that I have on the master out. Which, when you're printing tracks, if you're doing your final mix prints, your stems or whatever, your stem prints or your final analog sum, if you turn this down because it's too loud to your monitors, your signal back into your DAW is lower. So you want to keep this volume up, but you can get very loud when you are doing a analog sum. So that's what the Nanopatch does. I can just turn that down like that, and then the volume is not overwhelming. So that's that. I also have the Firewire array from Western Digital. That's what I use to track to. So this is pretty much the brains of my studio. Everything goes on here, then it's backed up onto these three. So I have the original. There's 4 terabytes there. And then they all get backed up 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 levels of backup plus the original. You may think that's overkill, but if one of those ever dies or whatever should happen, I have got plenty of backup to where I can always restore anything at any point, and that's a peace of mind for me, knowing that I'm always covered. What else do we got? Oh, okay, yeah. I have a UAD 2 satellite, because that's a quad. That's a very good. That is Firewire, by the way. That runs out Firewire. And then I have a converter in the back to convert to Thunderbolt. So that works great. I use a lot of UAD plugins. I love Universal Audio, so I use Universal Audio, I use Waves, and I use Steven Slate a lot. I like Slate Digital as well. So those three companies, I when I'm mixing, those are really I have favorites from all three companies that I like. So I also like IK Multimedia. I'll use some of their stuff. I do like to jump around in regards to the plugins I use. I do use stock Pro Tools plugins, but I do have, like I said, favorites from Waves, Universal Audio, Slate Digital, and others. What I do is I will record into Pro Tools. After that, once I get a good mix going and the client has approved the rough mix, I will stem out the way I showed in one of my videos, whereas I will send the drums to a stereo 1 and 2. I'll send the bass to 3 and 4, guitars to 5 and 6, vocals to 7 and 8, any extra synths, strings, choirs, anything like that to 9 and 10, and then normally my effects will go to 11 and 12. Something like that is how that'll be set up. So that'll be each stem comes back into the board. I'll print the stems out, and then those stems will go into Harrison Mix Bus. Harrison Mix Bus is the DAW that I'm now doing my stem mixing for final processing. Then that stem mix that's mixed down in Harrison Mix Bus, I will get my stereo sum out of it, coming back into the board through a stereo sum, and that's what the client will get for their pre-master mix. They get back to me and they say, hey, everything sounds good, this, that, and the other. If they approve that mix goes into PreSonus Studio One, into the project window, where at that point I can master it and get my deliverables for whatever they're needing, whether they're needing to go to an MP3, whether they're wanting a wave, whether they're wanting a CD burnt, whether they need a DDP to be sent off to, let's say, disc makers or what have you. PreSonus Studio One in the project window allows me to get all those deliverables, enter metadata, all those things, all can be done through PreSonus Studio One. So those are pretty much the three DAWs I use. I do use Logic Pro for some things. It all depends on what's going on, what I'm going to use it for. But that's pretty much it. Again, other than the Soundcraft, everything that I just showed today is the same that I've been using for the last 3 or 4 years. There's nothing new. Even the Raven, I've had that for a couple years now. I love it. It's definitely something I'll be using for a long time. I love the way it works. I use it for video editing when I do some video projects, so it's definitely a keeper. I'm definitely loving the Soundcraft. I've got a lot of people that are asking me if I really think it's worth it. To me, I would have paid more than the $750 that I bought it for. To me, I got a great deal. So anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for this studio spotlight. I have a band coming in a couple weeks that I'm going to give you guys pretty much the full work down on working with them. That's going to include drum miking, drum recording, routing it through the board here. That's probably going to go full band production. I know the guitar player's probably going to redo some of his guitar work, so I'll get that done. There's going to be bass needing to be recorded. I'll have to do vocals on that as well. So I'm going to try to capture all that on video if the band allows. I'm definitely going to do a band interview. I'm real good friends with the guitar player in the band, who's the primary songwriter. So I'll definitely get an interview with him. He's a real good friend of mine. So and those are always good because, and they're fun for me because it allows me to put some focus on their band, share that with the community, and get them some sort of some notice to what they're doing, and hopefully help them with get their music out there and get some likes with some of the people that follow me, and it helps show the interaction between the artist and the producer or the engineer, because there needs to be more than just a client owner relationship. I tell people all the time, when they walk through that door right over there, when they walk through that door, I very rarely don't develop a friendship. Anytime someone comes into my studio, a friendship normally is fostered just because of the extreme and deep love that I have for music. When I meet other people that have that same type of passion that I do, I can't help but develop a friendship with them. So in most cases, I like showing that side of the studio as well. It's not just about the gear. It's not just about the plugins and the software. I want you guys to see that there's more to this than just that. This is more than just turning knobs and hooking up cables and buying plugins and knowing what EQ and compression settings to use. There's a matter of your heart and your spirit involved in this, and I want to share that with you guys. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to get this uploaded. I want you guys to be able to see this before I go into those other videos. So if you guys got any questions, let me know. I'll try to get them answered. You can do either in the comments below, or you can email me at bbuck822@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you guys real soon. Thank you very much, and you have a great weekend.